Bitcoin is back above the $96,000 and in the coming days we could potentially see a nice move towards the $100,000. Of course there is also a bearish scenario possible, but I will tell you everything you need to know about Bitcoin in the coming days in this video. On several time frames there's a lot to talk about for Bitcoin, so you don't want to miss any of this. There's also a lot of interesting data which I will discuss with you in this video. Yesterday it was Thanksgiving, so the markets were closed in America. I will also have a look at 3 altcoins in this video, and that will be Vechain, Bittensor and Ethereum. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end? Please slap up that like button because it will help this channel a lot. And let's dive right into the charts. In my video of yesterday I was talking about this huge consolidation formation for Bitcoin on a 4-hour time frame. We can see on the top side multiple touch points as resistance, and also on the lower side we can see a lot of touch points as support coming into play. So every time we touch this upper side resistance we saw a little bit of a rejection, and now Bitcoin is looking to break out potentially maybe today, and then we could see a bullish momentum to the top side. But of course there could also be a bearish move in the coming days, that we're going to see a break of the support, retest this support as resistance, and then we have to aim for lower targets. But of course we want to see that bullish break to the top side. We can measure the breakout target by measuring from the top side to the lower side of the support area, and if for instance the breakout will be around here, then we can measure the breakout target, and if the break will be bearish, then we can see that the breakout target will be to the downside, of course. So this will be around to $106,000 if we see a bullish break, and if we are going to see a bearish break, then we will bring it back to $82,000. So if this formation is going to break bullish, the breakout target will be around to $106,000. So this will bring us above the $100,000, and this of course could be happening in the coming days. And also on the 4-hour time frame we can see that Bitcoin broke above this huge resistance area to the top side. We retested it as support, and at this bullish retest I was saying that you could enter the market in the long, and from this bullish retest you could have already made a 5% increase. So that is an insane trade to make, and especially when you are leverage trading. So after this huge consolidation formation with an uptrend, we are now seeing this bullish continuation. But however, keep in mind that we are also seeing a lower high unfolding. So this could also mean that we are going to see a little bit of a shift in the uptrend, because we first were in an uptrend and now we could potentially see a little bit of a downtrend unfolding. So for instance, if we're going to break below this huge support area, we could create a lower low, and then we also could create another lower high, and that would bring Bitcoin in a downtrend, and this could mean that Bitcoin is going to shift into a bearish momentum. And yesterday the Bitcoin and the Ethereum ETFs didn't have any data because it was Thanksgiving, so the American markets were closed, and we can see that there is no data coming in, so we have to wait for today. So let's see if this last day of the week can be very bullish for Ethereum and Bitcoin, and that we're going to see a lot of inflows on this last day. And zooming out on the Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin shifted from this huge downtrend into an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows, as I was saying earlier in my videos. And we can see this spike to the top side, and this was the exponential move, and this meant that we are starting the bull run. But of course we are now seeing this higher high created, and we are now looking for a higher low. So this could be the potential higher low, but of course we could also possibly go a little bit lower and then create a higher low somewhere around here. And every time Bitcoin goes a little bit lower, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin. And in this video I will also review my price targets, as I told you, and I will look at some very interesting points, and that will be around here. Also around here we can also see here some price interaction in the past, but I think this could be the most important level to watch, and that will be around the $76,000. And if we're going all the way back to this level, I'm going to buy in heavily for Bitcoin into the long term, because at the $76,000 there's also still a semi gap open from 2 or 3 weeks ago, so we could potentially close the gap and see a bounce to the top side again. But as I was saying, every time we come to a certain support level, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin for the long term, because eventually I think Bitcoin will go above the $100,000 and much higher. So if we're going back to this level, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin, and hopefully you can do as well. But of course, if Bitcoin is going to pump straight away towards the $100 and never come back, that is also fine by me, because I also have still a large bag of Bitcoin. So if we're going higher, then my portfolio will also surge. But if we're going lower, I'm just going to buy more Bitcoin. And in crypto, this is the way to make money. And in my earlier videos, I've been discussing this huge parabolic uptrend for Bitcoin with you. And when we were at these stages, I said that if Bitcoin is going to see a throwback to this support area, I'm going to buy more Bitcoin. So that's exactly what I did. And we can see that Bitcoin is now coming back to this huge support area. And we could potentially see this next exponential move to the top side as this parabolic uptrend is still intact. So let's see if Bitcoin can continue the bullish momentum to the top side and see the next exponential move to the top side. And that of course will be very bullish. But of course, we could also see a bearish scenario that we're eventually going to break the support, because we could also see a trend reversal for Bitcoin and that we're going to see a little bit of a bearish momentum. But for now, we are in this bullish upside momentum. So let's see if Bitcoin can just create another exponential move. And the month of November is almost over, and today is the last trading day of the week. Of course, there's also still the weekend, but of course, during the week, there's a lot of interesting price action as well. In the Q4, we are now seeing a 51.22% increase for Bitcoin, and the Q4 is not over yet because we also still have the month of December. And if we have a look at November, we can see a 36.5 increase for Bitcoin. So this is an insane month, and this is one of the best Novembers ever. Of course, November is overall a very bullish month, just like December. December is a little bit of a mixed month. So let's see if we can see a bullish December as well. And if we have a look at the past, we can see that every time we had a September and October and November that were bullish, we also saw a bullish and green December. So let's see if we can also see a green December this year. And if we can see that December is also going to pump more than 10% in December, then we will see most likely levels around $120,000. And the chart I've been discussing a lot with you on my socials was this bull flag formation. And we were in this huge bull flag formation for the last 8 months. Then we saw a bullish break to the top side. We retested this resistance as support. And from there, we entered the market in the long. And we aimed for higher targets. And we saw an exponential move to the top side. And on this bullish retest, we saw a perfect touch. And from this bullish retest, if you entered the market here, just like I did, and my community as well, you already made a gain of 50% on Bitcoin. And that was only for spot. So imagine if you leverage traded this. So this would be an insane trade, of course. So for now, Bitcoin is still in this huge bullish uptrend. And let's see if we can see a continuation of the bull flag. And this bull flag still has a breakout target of $110,000, which hasn't been reached yet. So for instance, we could see a pump towards the $110,000, get to the breakout target, and then we could see a little bit of a rejection and sideways action. And if we have a look at the liquidation heat map, we can see that around the $100,000, there's a lot of liquidations happening. So a lot of people are shorting around this level. So if Bitcoin is going to pump above this level, we will see a lot of liquidations coming into the market. And this is very bullish because all those shorts will be turned into longs, and that will have a very bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin. So if we're going to see this bullish break of this huge liquidation area, then we will most likely see a huge pump to the top side. But of course, there's also a big rejection possible because this is a very interesting place with a lot of liquidity. And if we zoom out to the monthly time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, and we can see that the month of November is one of the most bullish months ever, and it's about to close this biggest candle ever in the history of Bitcoin. So we're now up for $26,000 in 1 month, and this is the biggest candle ever in history. So this is looking very bullish, of course, and this is how you want to start the bull run. So let's see if December can also be very bullish for Bitcoin, because we want to see more exponential moves in this bull market, just like we saw in the last bull market, and that was around here. We still have 3 trading days left in the month of November for Bitcoin, but of course I think we will close it somewhere around this level, and let's see what the month of December will bring us as well. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Vechain. We can see that Vechain was in this huge triangle to the downside in the last months. I've been talking about Vechain a lot with you on my socials, and every time we came to a lower level, I've been saying that at this huge green box of accumulation, I was buying more Vechain. And eventually we broke out of this triangle, we retested this horizontal support again, and from there we entered the market in a long, and from there we already made an increase of more than 110%. So this is insane, of course, for Vechain. We can also see that Vechain broke several resistance areas to the top side, which was very bullish, and we are now at the next big resistance on the daily time frame. And this resistance, as we can see, has a lot of interesting price interactions in the past with a lot of touch points here as support and resistance, and now we are seeing this resistance coming into play again. So potentially we could see a break of this resistance, then a retest as a support, and from there we can aim for higher targets. But of course also bearish scenarios possible, and that we are going to see a huge rejection from this level and that we have to aim for lower targets. But if we zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Vechain is in this consolidation formation. On the top side we can see multiple touch points as resistance and also on the lower side as support. But of course we are going to see a huge breakout eventually when this apex is getting reached. So we will see either a break to the top side or we will see a break to the downside. And let me know in the comments what you think about Vechain. Are we going to see a bullish break or are we going to see a bearish break for Vechain? And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look is Bittensor Tau. We can see that Bittensor was in this huge downtrend on the daily time frame, and eventually we saw this huge bullish momentum to the top side and the bull market started here for Bittensor. We also saw a little bit of a retest to test lower levels as support after breaking these huge resistance areas to the top side, which was very healthy price action. After that, as I was saying, every time we touch lower support levels, I am going to buy more Tau, and eventually we came to lower levels. So at these lower side support levels, me and my community were buying more Tau, and from this retest, you could have entered the market in a long and already made an increase of 50%. Then we saw this resistance area getting broken to the top side. We retested this resistance again as support and we saw another spike to the top side. And from this retest you could have already made another increase of more than 25%. So this was also a very beautiful trade to make. And now we are breaking above this huge resistance area so we can paint it green. And this is looking very beautiful for Tau. And if we have a look at another chart, we can also see that this huge resistance area is now coming into play. And in the past, we can see a lot of touch points here as resistance and support. And every time we come to this level, we see a huge price interaction happening. And now it looks like that Bittensor Tau is going to break it to the top side because we see this very bullish candle happening. But of course, we could also see a bit of a rejection coming into the market that we have to aim for lower targets. But every time we touch this certain level, it's getting weaker and weaker because the liquidity is getting weaker. So I think we will see a break to the top side, a retest of the resistance as support, and from there we can aim for higher targets. And maybe we can then aim for the new all-time high for Bittensor Tau. And the last altcoin I want to discuss with you is Ethereum. Ethereum also was in this huge consolidation on the downside and eventually we saw a beautiful break to the top side. We broke a lot of resistance levels, we came back to test it as support and now we're seeing this beautiful uptrend happening for Ethereum. So if we zoom in a little bit, we can now see that this previous resistance is being turned into support. So this is looking very beautiful and we can now paint this level green because it has been turned into support. But if we zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Ethereum was in this huge consolidation formations. And now we're in this huge broadening wedge to the top side, which is a very bullish bias pattern. And eventually we are seeing higher highs and higher lows. So we are still in this huge uptrend and this could go on and on and on. But of course, we could also see a potential bullish break to the top side, which is more bullish for Ethereum. And of course there's also a bearish scenario possible and that we're going to see a break of the support, retest it as resistance and then we can aim for lower targets. And this is the bearish scenario of course. But of course we want to see a continuation of the bullish momentum for Ethereum to the top side and that we're going to break eventually above the $5,000. And I think Ethereum will see levels around the $10,000 in the coming bull market. So let me know in the comments what your price prediction is for Ethereum in the coming cycle. Please leave a like if you think the video was useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.